Premonition changed his point of view and his life. Here to share his self-discovery and his metaphysical experiences, author of The Key of Life, Randolph Rogers. And wonderful to have you. You're very familiar with the studio. You said you spent 20 years working in TV news and then kind of transitioned into a different career.
Right. Well, after the 20 years, then I went into the motion picture business, and that's where I spent the last 20 years doing promotions for Warner's, Disney, and all the major studios for all the movies that come out.
And it's very interesting because at a very young age, you said you had a memory or a flash that really changed the course of your life or your destiny.
Well, yeah, it wasn't at a young age. It was 15 years ago exactly that this happened, and I was working in this production business, and everything was going along normal, and I'd moved into a new house, and I had a feeling that a friend of mine from grade school had passed away, and I couldn't get that thought out of my head. And so, to make the main part of the story short, I started an investigation looking for her, and within a year I had found her. And what had happened was she had passed away from what I was working on, which was a breast and ovarian cancer video I was producing for the Fire and Ice Ball. And I started to see the synchronicity in my life, and that the photojournalist and the newsman in me couldn't let go of the story. I just kept investigating to understand how she could be reaching out to me.
And because of that experience, you started getting more in touch with synchronicity, things happening that all seem to connect together.
Everything is synchronistic. In fact, coming here today, I was in the green room waiting, and of course the City of Hope was there and the cancer people, and I thought, well, this is just, really synchronous here, because the whole story has to do with breast and ovarian cancer. And who walks out from one of the corner of the green room is the breast cancer survivor, that she wandered over by where I was, found my book, started reading it, and wanted to know about it, and she immediately latched onto it, and there was no accident that she had made contact with me. And in fact, the fact that I'm sitting here talking to somebody named Renee right now is really important too, because when you read this story, you're going to find out that Renee, a woman named Renee, played a big part of this story for me, and she's the one that led me to this Russian acupuncturist that put these needles in me, and I started doing these regression sessions, things I had no knowledge of because I was not raised this way.
Right, and as a news person, we're always taught to challenge and to look for the facts and really to go, with what is accurate. And so writing this book has really opened you up to otherworldly topics.
Right. That's what was great, because I did have to have multiple sources of it being true or see it for myself, and that's what happened in this book. I started to see things happening in front of me, and I'm keeping notes in journal every day, and it turned into the story.
Wonderful. Let's talk about, for folks that are watching today and they maybe saying, I don't know if I buy this, I don't know if I believe in past life, premonitions and whatnot. What was a universal theme that you saw recurring over and over again that made you a believer?
Well, it was just that no matter what direction I turned, there was something would happen in the morning, and then there would something else would match up with it in the afternoon. And it was too much of a stretch to imagine that it was just a coincidence. A lot of examples where I pulled a book off a shelf and it had my name on the end of it. But somehow I knew everything inside of the book already. And I started reading through this book, and I felt I knew who this author was, even though the book was written in 1923. And I started telling people stuff about him. And then it all proved to be true later when you go down in the book, when I started researching who he was. And how I did that is, it's all spelled out by the end of the story, how it all came to be, and who we are and why we're here and how we're all connected is what I was really on the path to find out.
How would you encourage other people to get in touch with their own synchronicity in their lives?
Well, examine the details in your own life. Go out and look at what's happening to yourself in your life, and if it's the truth, hang on to it. Don't believe in things. Only search for the truth. That's what the newsman in me taught me. I didn't have beliefs in it. Everybody says, did you believe in reincarnation? I didn't have any say in it one way or the other, but now I know it to be a truth because I investigated it enough that I've got the documentation to show people that it's the truth for me.
Tell us about some of your past lives.
Well, there was one. The first one was in England, and it was the 1560s, and I was this young girl, and that's where I found out who the girl I was searching for was Kathy Lynch, and who we were together back then. And then I proved it. I mean, that was another synchronicity that was startling, because after I came out of this regression session, I knew where this castle was and these things in England, and I started describing them in detail. And I said, well, I really got to go to England sometime to do it. And I had no job in England, but Sly Stallone's publicist called out of the blue, and I ended up on an around-the-world tour, and one day off only on that 1-week trip, and it was in England. I got on a train and went north and found this place, exactly where I said it was, and how it was in the detail. the details are just what startles you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how this has all come together for you, and I think that it sounds like an interesting read, The Key of Life, and we are going to be giving away your book, Randolph, on our raffle page to some of our viewers at 11 a.m. And
Sure.
you know, thank you so much for sharing this with us, your experience, your ideas, the synchronistic opportunities in your life, and maybe it can open us up to just being more aware of what's going on in our own.
Well, thank you, and yeah, and if they want more on it, there's a website too under thekeyoflife.net, and you can read some excerpts from it there.
Wonderful, and welcome back to a newsroom.
All right.
Bet you didn't miss it at all.